Hey, welcome to the Social 333 podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bentley. Today I have Gina Spyropoulos. Spyropoulos. I'm
Perfect.
trying hard.
Perfect.
Spyropoulos. There we go. Is that good?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. She is a luxury travel advisor. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your business.
I opened this company 30 years ago and keep rolling with the dice and have an amazing time with curating amazing trips for our clients that become friends.
I know I've used you a couple
Yep.
times on some trips. Myself, I went to Miami for that photo shoot and video
Hmm.
shoot that I had, which was really cool. And then I got like all star like treatment. I was in the same Tresner hotel or that wing of Fontainebleau in Miami with I wasn't in the same suite, but I was in the same building as Floyd Mayweather when he was
Right.
having that fight, and that was really cool. Ended up like I'd go downstairs and see a lot of his entourage and stuff, and then I ended up going to Mexico, Cancun with my now ex girlfriend, which was really cool. And all star treatment. Like I got off the plane, there was somebody waiting for me with a car. I don't speak very good Spanish, so there was
Yeah.
like always somebody there. And it was, you were like a phone call away. I was like, hey, like I don't know where I'm at. People are talking to me really fast. It's not like how it is here in Texas, and I have no idea where I'm going. Like I'm trying not to get kidnapped. Like
You're not.
you just
You're not. But yes.
you run into that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and you're like, oh man, like where have I got myself into? And you were just on the phone. You were like, yeah, yeah, hang on a second, hang hang up, call me back. Yep, like
Yeah.
Nelson's appearing with the car now. It's a black,
Right. Yeah.
town car. Cool. So that was my experience, and I use you all the time for different things, and then of course I referred you out to a lot of clients. The biggest thing that I refer you out to, and a lot of people kind of have pushback on is like, why don't I just do it myself?
Correct.
Right? Like, why
Yeah.
don't I just go on to Expedia or one of these other
Yeah.
spots? And then you told me some stuff about that, which I want you to share.
Sure.
But um, tell me a little bit about that because I learned, and quote me if I'm wrong, but like I learned that like if I book through, let's just say Expedia, just
Sure.
giving a word, one of the companies. I use Expedia and I booked a hotel through Expedia for Fontainebleau,
Hmm.
and then I go there expecting to get oceanside, amazing views, like the best service, whatever, and then they kind of tell me that, hey, well, you did book that, but you're gonna get the one that's like all the way down the hall that has like a partial view of
Yeah.
the ocean, and you know, they have great service anyway, but like you're gonna get a,
Right.
a bad room because like we already filled up the other style with the people that were
Right.
before you, and kind of like talk about that a little bit and talk about more about why people should hire a travel advisor, especially a luxury travel advisor, versus just being like, I think I'm gonna go to Costa Rica today,
Right.
and like let's go and press the button.
Right. Well, even that, Costa Rica or wherever it be in the U.S. or out of the country, we do have a huge relationship with all of our suppliers and our hotels. And we do make the difference for sure, 100%. And if you want to go on Expedia for research, that's great. But why we make the difference, we're a phone call away. We make sure that room is going to be perfect for you, and we might have surprises in there. Um, Expedia is a booking platform, and you're not going to be able to call somebody when you need something. And you can make a call to us, and we make sure it's handled perfectly, and we're there until you return from your trip.
I know my Cancun vacation was totally cool. Like I walked in, um, it's like happy birthday Amanda on the bathroom
Right.
mirror or the wall. We had drinks, we had fresh fruit, we had a bunch of different desserts, and she was like pumped. She was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, this is awesome." And I know if I had booked it through any other site, it would have been like, "Here's your room, here's the key,"
Right.
you know.
Well, and most people don't know about travel agents back in the day used to be like, oh, you can only do that if you're super wealthy. And that was the only option. That's not the case. We are here. We went to college for hospitality. We know everything. We go to places and we know what's good and not, we wouldn't put you in a bad place. we need to know a budget, and we make sure it happens that way. Now, we have luxury clients that want something for a first class ticket for very cheap. Well, that's not gonna happen, but, there's a place for everyone, you know? It doesn't have to be helicopters all the time, it doesn't have to be private planes, but there's a place that we can put you.
Talk to me about like a destination or a just a vacation package or like an experience that you can do for somebody that we have a lot of entrepreneurs, small business
Sure.
owners that maybe more on like a budget friendly
Mhm.
situation that
Yeah.
like nobody's ever heard of or that isn't very popular by the masses, like the TikTok world.
Well, I mean, there's places like outside of Belize, there's places everybody's heard of Costa Rica, but there's small Panama, the country, something like that. But there is a budget, that people can do it as long as it's not the day before and they want to leave the next day. Um, there's a lot of good places and there's a lot of amazing places that the value is there for going far away as well.
I know you work with a lot of luxury, I wouldn't say luxury, but a lot of affluent people, a lot of
Hmm.
people that are very popular on social media because I follow you, and I see a lot of the stuff that you post. Tell me about like a trip or like an itinerary that's like just that you've done that's just like over the top crazy, like wild. Like you're just like, wow, like I can't believe like we're doing this.
Well, I mean, for myself or client.
Either one.
For a client, well, we've done some crazy things, but, we did a wedding proposal for someone in Thailand that they thought they were just going for a birthday,
Wow.
and that was cool. I do love Thailand. I know, great places to go, and the sanctuaries that are amazing with the elephants are great. And then for myself, I think an experience that was pretty wow was flying into the airport and then taken away in a helicopter and land at your property. Now that's pretty fun.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What are some like trends that you're kind of seeing? Like a lot of people, I know I always want to go to Greece. Every
Right.
year I talk about going to Greece. Every year I don't go. It's just kind of like one of those things. I know Greece, you have to like book ahead.
Well, that's not, you don't have to book ahead, but airfare is expensive if you just do it the last minute. But, of course, summertime is busy, but we try to make sure you don't go when it's busy. We want you to go when you have some downtime and perfect vacation where it's not the ships have docked and it's busy, busy. So,
Yeah. But have you seen any like hidden gems, anything that's out there that, may not be all over social media or maybe a lot of people just don't know about outside of
there,
like,
yeah, there's some, we always create some ideas once somebody gives me a budget and then we do it because, absolutely TikTok's out there, Instagram, and it's all, some of it's good and then some of it I laugh at, but it's all good for information. And I always tell a client to go look and research and tell me what you're coming up with, and then I'll show you some other options.
talk to me about like the laughing stuff. Because I know that a lot of people on social media kind of pump up stuff that they think is like, amazing. And like now that I've experienced, your services, I know like what, like white glove treatment is versus a lot of people that just probably just booked and then
Right.
they're like showing off that it's like really great.
Yeah.
Like talk about like a lot of that stuff that you've seen.
I think it's personality, and when you meet your client, you become their friend actually. And I think it's about trust and making sure that you're on the same page. I want to know as much information about that person so I can make sure it's perfect.
Do you ever go out to, like, the trips, like, on your own
Of
before you go
course.
out? Yeah. I've
That's
seen some of your stuff. I know for a fact that you go out along with, like, some of your clients too, which is
Oh
really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I've talked to you about going to Greece or, like, going to Sweden or, like, a
Right.
lot of that stuff. I always wanted to do the whole backpack tour where you do, like a Germany,
Oh
Amsterdam,
yeah, that's fun.
um, a couple other countries like Greece maybe,
Right.
and then go home. I've thought about just, taking a month off and just doing
Yeah.
a week at a time, which would be really cool.
Yeah. We have a lot of people that are spending more time on like 10 days to 2 weeks and doing several countries.
Mm. Talk about some disasters.
Ooh.
So, Thankfully, I never had to experience a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff, but I know for a fact a lot of people, like, they'll maybe book half of it with you, and
Mhm.
then because, like, there's a budget and try to, like, budget the rest of it, or it'll be a situation where there's just, like, a complete disaster where, just things happen
Yeah,
that you can't
there's
control, maybe, like, weather, maybe
mhm.
just different things. Like, tell me about some situations like that.
Well, there has been some weather things. I'm very fortunate that for this last 30 years, we've only had a few things, so I love that. Somebody could be getting sick at a destination and had to be care flighted
Ooh.
away. Now, I did have that happen, and, we were there for them every phone call, and, I think that goes beyond a platform for the Expedia or anywhere.
Yeah.
So they're fine, and I hope they know that what a value we were to that, vacation that became a little bit of a disaster. Weather related, if we put somebody somewhere and they were just wanting a beautiful beach and some seaweed came in and it was horrible, we could have move them somewhere else if that was just a big problem. But, most of the time we want, you know, insurance is really important for traveling. Everybody needs to have travel insurance. I believe that in case something really does happen.
Talk to me about like a dream location or dream itinerary. Obviously, like budget, time, that kind of stuff is no object. But like,
Mm.
where would you like be like if I were to be like Gina, like I want to get away. Like,
And money's no object?
yeah, like where are we
Oh,
going?
wow. You know what I would say? I said, "Okay, we're getting you a private plane, and you're doing 24 days around the world." That's
Well,
it.
really?
Yeah,
Hmm. All around the world.
yeah. Or you can take a yacht and stay on that for about 2 weeks.
How do this is another question, sorry. I saw like Dan Blazarian did a like he was just anchored in the Greek islands in the Mediterranean. And I think that's become like a thing now. Last couple of years I've seen that. How does that work? Like they have a professional chef on
Yes,
board, they have different
yes.
levels.
There's many yachts, boats, depending on the budget, and somebody might wanna just sail the Greek Isles for a week, or they might just wanna do it for the day, and we can do that. And yes, there's a chef. There's whatever you want, we lay that out and say, "Okay, here's your options." So you really can have whatever you want, if
Mm,
you depends if you're going when the waters are rough or not,
right.
but most people, a week on a boat is enough in the Greek islands, in my opinion. I like to do the day things because then you wanna stay on land and get to see everything else.
Mm. What are some surprising things that high-end travelers usually ask for, or like what are they kind of thinking about or doing? Like, what have you kind of seen? Because I know you work with a lot.
Um if they don't take a private plane or they just want, they're shocked about some of the prices in first class. And
Mm,
even the very luxury client wants it for a better deal.
mm,
And I don't name the prices of that.
mhm. But what do they really look for, like in a great, obviously the white glove treatment,
Sure.
I know, but like what is it that they're like really looking at? What is the experience that they're looking for? I know the experience I have,
Yeah.
but
They do want value still. They still want the value on that destination, whatever it be, whether it be a private boat, whether it be excursions that are private, or in Egypt, if it was a private visit to the museum and they were the only ones in there. Well, that's an Instagram photo right there, you know? So there's so many things, whether it be Africa, somebody doesn't want to go on a safari that wants to hear walkie talkies. Okay, we can do this.
mhm. That's what I've noticed also with more of the upscale clientele is that it's very private.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna get a very private beach or you're gonna get a very private boat ride. You're not riding around with somebody else.
right.
It's your party and that's it.
Yeah.
Um, 24 hours in Paris with unlimited budget. Talk to me about that. Where are we
Mm.
going? Where are we staying?
Well, I would still stay in a nice hotel, a luxury hotel. I would do probably amazing restaurants that are Michelin rating and unlimited shopping. Oh, I'd have a private guide to take me to all the designer places.
I knew you were probably gonna say that. Um, Talk to me about a couple of different areas, and this is just my own personal questions,
Right.
um, which is always my personal questions anyway. But like, if I were to book, what are some places that are just they're really hyped up and they're just not worth going to?
Mm.
Like, give me a couple of those because I see a lot of stuff on travel, especially this time of year. It's summertime, and I look and I'm like, oh, like this person's in Cabo, or this
Mhm.
person is you know traveling on and looking at is it Saint Tropos or
Yeah, yeah,
right?
or Saint it just depends on, I think, the hype. Anybody can hype up anything, and it might be they might love it, and then they tell their friend about it. But it really just depends on their personal. What do they want? Do they need a beach? Do they want the mountains? Do they want a private home in the mountains? Do they want somewhere spa? Do they want wellness? Well, there's wellness all over the world, and like, you could do that in Greece as well. You could spend a month there, you know?
Yeah, I noticed that Joe Rogan. I picked up on something with him. Like he ended up purchasing a home in Colorado, and it was like on a hill, and it was like a log cabin. Because he was talking about his wife would get uh, like sick, like flu sick because of the high altitudes.
Mhm.
And he said that he absolutely loved living in a log cabin with nothing around, just
Mhm.
trees,
Right,
nature,
right.
that kind of stuff. And quite personally, like after about a day, I would be really bored.
Yeah. I mean, you could have, chefs come in, you could have yoga classes, you could do a lot of things, but I get it, and altitude is not for everybody, and, if you have a nightlife where it's not far away and you have some dining spots, that would be good. I I don't see any of our clients that just go, into an area, they still need something to do, you
Y
know?
Yeah, that's kinda where I end up.
And it's the same thing as in, whether it be in Maldives or Fiji or Croatia or somewhere, people still want something to do. You can remove yourself and that's fine, but we also see that they wanna see what the country.
Mhm. I definitely wanna explore. If somebody was interested in luxury travel and hiring you, somebody interested obviously in hearing, I talk a lot about you and hype you up about the service that you've given me. But if somebody wanted to find you, wanted to book something, somebody had some questions maybe about, you know, booking a vacation or getting out of the country and need some help, like how do they find you?
Pretty much on Instagram, easy, right? Website, referral business, Facebook,
Spy Travel.
that's it.
Cool. Well, Gina, I appreciate you coming on the show and
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, friend.
Absolutely. Take care.